Is Santander Colombia's most underrated region? Maybe. I've spent the last 4 days exploring the region a little bit. I'm currently at Palo Grande Airport, coming back to Medellin from spending 4 days here. Started off in Bucaramanga for a day, then went to San Gil, which is meant to be the adventure capital of Colombia, or it's marketed that way at least. Did the Chicamocha Canyon race, which was absolutely unreal. Went back to Barichara for a day, which is probably my favorite pueblito now in Colombia. The colonial architecture is breathtaking. The scenery is stunning, but you never hear people talk about Santander. It doesn't get a lot of tourists, doesn't get that many visitors, but honestly, I think it is a really underrated part of Colombia, and I can see why people who visit Santander, like I have just now, come back with great memories of the area. So I'm just going to share my thoughts with you guys while I'm in the airport, waiting to board my plane back to Medellin. And so, as you guys have seen from my video of Bucaramanga, the 5 things that surprised me about it: really great city, location is cool, very similar to Medellin in terms of the climate. It's a little bit warmer, you get a lot less international tourists. It feels like Medellin 20 years ago. There's a very authentic feel to Bucaramanga as well because of the lack of international tourists. And overall, I think it's a really cool city. A little bit more of an industrial feel compared to Medellin, but overall, Bucaramanga is great. And as you can see from the airport now, the airport's pretty cool. It's like, you know, it probably fits the capacity for how many people actually use the airport. Unlike in the Rio Negro, where 20 years ago it was probably okay, but now it has way too many travelers going in and out of the airport for its capacity. But yeah, the airport in Bucaramanga, thumbs up. And that would have been one of my concerns about Bucaramanga, is that maybe the connectivity is not that good, the airport is not that developed, etc. But it's pretty good. You have all the shops here and everything. Bucaramanga overall gets a thumbs up from me. Then I went to San Gil, which honestly isn't a super nice town. You wouldn't want to go to San Gil if you didn't have a reason to go. The reason why I was there is only for the Chicamocha Canyon race. It wasn't that pretty. It was quite busy. There weren't that many good restaurants around. A few of the streets had the nice kind of cobbled pavestones, which they had in Barichara, which is really, really lovely. But overall, it was kind of busy. Loads of motos going around. Wasn't that clean. So San Gil is cool if you need to kind of do stuff from there, either white water rafting or paragliding or doing the Chicamocha Canyon race, that kind of stuff. But unless you had a reason to visit San Gil, you probably wouldn't want to go there. But the Airbnb we stayed in San Gil was pretty cool. We had a nice little pool, a view and everything. And it definitely had a different climate compared to Antioquia, because in the morning it was super cloudy. You could see the clouds rolling into San Gil, which you don't really see that often in Medellin. You get a little bit of that, but not too much. But one thing I have to say about Santander is the scenery, the nature, the roads, the kind of the landscape in general is maybe slightly better than Antioquia. It is really breathtaking because you've got the Chicamocha Canyon, you have all of these mountains around. It's not as green and lush as Antioquia, but it's still pretty green overall. But you have these rolling hills, these beautiful fincas which have the terracotta roofs. I would say the houses and the fincas in Santander probably feel and look a little bit more authentic and classic Colombian compared to the ones in Antioquia. Maybe because there's just less money flowing around here. People in Antioquia tend to have really modern, expensive fincas which look super modern and slick and everything, whereas here it's a little bit more traditional. People use the natural stone, the kind of the red brick of Santander, the red stone, which is really nice as well. And so yeah, I would say the landscapes in Santander, from what I've seen, really top notch, really beautiful. Even just driving around was a really enjoyable experience, so double thumbs up from me. Now, the actual Chicamocha Canyon, obviously I experienced it probably a unique way by doing the 46k ultra marathon through it. And as you guys have seen from the video, the views, the scenery, the backdrops were just absolutely out of this world cool. You kind of had the rolling hills in the foreground, then you had the mountains in the background, approaching Barichara, which looked like a kind of a little oasis of colonial Colombian architecture. The scenery of Chicamocha Canyon was absolutely unreal, and it feels pretty unique in Colombia. I haven't really seen any other kind of parts of Colombia like the Chicamocha Canyon, and so it is definitely worth a visit. I would say Bucaramanga's worth a visit for 1 or 2 nights. San Gil, probably not worth a visit unless you really have to go there to do some sort of adventure sport, but definitely the Chicamocha Canyon is worth a visit if you come to Colombia. But then again, if you're only in Colombia for, let's say, a week, maybe even 2 weeks, it takes a lot of time to get there. It's a lot of traveling, it's a lot of driving, so it might not be worth it on a 2-week trip. But definitely, if you live in Colombia or you're even spending a month here, would definitely be worthwhile going to see the Chicamocha Canyon, because as you guys can see from the last video of the ultra marathon when I did there, insanely beautiful, breathtaking, out of this world, really, really top notch. So yeah, Chicamocha Canyon gets 10 out of 10 for me in terms of the scenery and the landscapes in Santander. And when it comes to Barichara, so Barichara is known to be the most beautiful town in Colombia, and I actually brought this camera with me because I wanted to film a video for you guys, just show you what it was like, how beautiful it is. But you know what, I brought the camera but I forgot my memory card. I was completely bummed by that. I arrived there, I got my camera out to film. The DJI screen said you haven't got a memory card in there, and I was really gutted. So I will have to come back to Barichara to film a video for you guys because it is really spectacular and really that worthwhile. Doesn't get many international tourists because it's hard to get to. The pueblitos around Medellin, for example, if they're like 1 hour drive, 2 hour drive, maybe even a 3 hour drive from Medellin, like Jardin, for example, just sees a lot of international tourists because it's only a 3 hour drive. But Barichara is a half an hour drive from San Gil, and San Gil is a 3 hour drive from Bucaramanga, and Bucaramanga isn't on the tourist trap for people to go around to. So you just don't see that many international tourists in Barichara. We were there for a morning on Independence Day, luckily enough, where you could see lots of Colombian flags around, and we saw almost no international tourists in Barichara. But I can totally see why people really love that town. It's gorgeous. It's really well preserved. Like, you can tell it's a relatively wealthy area because all of the buildings are really well upkept. It's nice and clean, tidy. You don't see any dog poo around. There's no trash overflowing in the streets. A little bit different to Bucaramanga because honestly, Bucaramanga wasn't the cleanest, most tidy city I've ever seen in Colombia. But Barichara changed that. And again, the landscape in and around Barichara, you have these beautiful houses, these amazing fincas, really, really lovely part. And honestly, some of the best kind of countryside and nature in and around a pueblito that I've seen. So Barichara, just like the Chicamocha Canyon, 10 out of 10. And I would highly recommend just going even for a morning, just going there, walking around, having a little coffee, taking it all in. Barichara, amazing. And I'm still pretty upset that I forgot my memory card so I couldn't take a video for you guys. Now, I do realize the irony of me as an international foreigner or as a tourist telling you guys that this place is really good because it doesn't have a lot of international tourists. But I think that's the same with everything. We want to go to unspoiled places which haven't really had much of an influence from the outside world. And I think at the moment, Santander, because it's not on the tourist circuit, because you never hear really people talking about it that much, it's still a relatively underrated and kind of underdeveloped part of Colombia, and that is one of its charms. Even just the views from the airport here are really beautiful, as you guys can see. In the background here, you can kind of see some mountains. It's actually a really cool view of Bucaramanga, the city, from this airport here. I do realize the irony of me making this video to tell you that Santander is an underrated part of Colombia because, I don't know, if this video goes viral and suddenly Santander gets flooded with tourists, it will no longer be that good. So I do see the irony of that, but just please don't hate on me too much in the comments. And one thing this area is known for is its stonemasons, and they have this really beautiful kind of orange yellow local stone which all of the buildings are made out of. Not all of the roads, but the paved roads are made out of. And as you're driving along, for example, from San Gil to Barichara, you'll drive past loads of these stonemasons, a little bit like how you drive past furniture shops or in and around El Retiro. And that's a really nice touch because it's almost like, because it gives this part of Colombia a really recognizable feel, like you know where you are because you have this really unique yellowy kind of orange stone. And it's just like a nice touch of the area, you know. But yeah, maybe in 5 years' time, Santander and Bucaramanga and all this surrounding area will be more on the map for tourists, international visitors. I hope it doesn't too much because that's part of the charm, that it's relatively unspoiled by all of that. But it really is a fantastic part of Colombia, and I am bummed out that I couldn't do a video for you guys in Barichara because it was stunning. It was nice and quiet. I think it was a Monday morning, Independence Day, so Dia de Festivo. These pueblitos tend to get busy in the afternoon, but in the morning, super nice and quiet, just walking around, taking it all in. Didn't really see many people, had all the Colombian flags lining the street for the Independence Day. It's just one of those magical moments where me and my friend were like, wow, this is definitely our new favorite pueblito in Colombia, just because of the actual town, the backdrop. You could see the mountains, how well it was kept. There weren't actually many cars there. You didn't get the streets ruined by cars parked or motorbikes going around everywhere, which is also another plus of Bucaramanga. It's just not as busy and chaotic as Medellin. As I've talked about before, I think they're going to need to sort that out in Medellin because they need to put the picky placa on steroids or introduce some sort of congestion charge or something, because the traffic and the amount of people and everything on the roads at only one time is just out of control. So yeah, guys, that is my take on Santander, Colombia. Underrated part of the country, and I will be definitely coming back. And I don't see why it's that underrated, to be honest, because it has a lot going on here. So catch you in the next video.